Coach Brandon here today with Coach Ant, and he's going to be helping me show you guys how we counter our opponent's guard pull. We've been through a lot of standing material so far. We've been through our own takedowns, we've been through foundational standing skills, we went through arm dominant takedowns, driving and dragging, leg dominant takedowns, driving and dragging, sacrifice takedowns, and then we learned to counter our opponent's takedowns. And then we got into guard pulling, where we pull a guard offensively. And now we're to the last part of our standing skills chapter, countering our opponent's guard pulls. We looked at our takedowns, we looked at countering his takedowns. We looked at our guard pulls, and now we got to look at countering his guard pulls. When our opponent goes to pull guard, there's a number of things that we're going to look to do. Some of the biggest details you need to remember are you want to try to be either outside their legs, so they're not between their two knees, so you have an angle on them, and you want to sit in a way where your knee is starting to encroach upon their hip line. When they pull a guard, we'll talk about this more later. I don't need you for this yet. When they pull a guard, they want you between their knees, and they want you south of their hip line, of their belt, essentially. As the top person, when the bottom person pulls guard, that person wants to be on the outside of my legs, and north of my hip line or my belt with their knee. They want their knee coming forward. We'll talk more about this later when we come into talking about Toriano passes and knee cut passes off the guard pull. But those are a couple of the big things. And if you guys just remember those two things, that'll take you a long way. Okay? So let's keep those things in the back of your mind. And without further ado, let's go through some of the topics we're going through today. We're going to look at stopping our opponent's guard pull with good positioning. We're going to look at passing off of our opponent's guard pull. We're going to look at submitting our opponent off of their guard pull. Then, if we can't pass or submit off the guard pull, we can at least negate our opponent's guard pull. Section number 4 is negating, which is just they pull guard and we drop ourselves into a way where we're in a better position than they are, where it's hard for them to attack us. So we can negate the pull. And then last but not least is if we can intercept their guard pull, we can kind of get a cheap shot takedown. We can actually score a takedown off their guard pull attempt and score 2 points in the tournament. So again, maintaining good position to make the guard pull difficult, passing off the pull, submitting off the pull, negating the pull, and then lastly, intercepting the pull, or taking kind of a cheap shot, if you will. So let's get to it. So first things first, when Ant and I are squared up like this, we're standing tall, and my belt is exposed to Ant, and Ant's belt is exposed to me, your opponent may very well jump to close guard. I'll demonstrate here, where we lock up with grips. I'm going to step up to the ankle line, I'm going to throw my leg up to the hip, my second leg comes up to the hip, and I jump close guard. And Ant can lower me down to the floor, and now I have a closed guard from where I can go and start attacking closed guard attacks. So the only way I can do that, by the way guys, if you guys ever jump close guard in a tournament, I don't want you to do it in training in the academy. It is dangerous. And I want to talk about the safety issue here. When people go to jump close guard, if they're not, maybe they don't jump close guard a lot, or maybe they don't know how to do it, and they just throw their body weight at their opponent, the worry is that they don't launch themselves high enough. The worry is that they throw themselves forward and the body weight crashes into the knees, and you give your partner a really, really bad knee injury. You might put your friend in the hospital or in a cast for bumps. Okay, so be very, very careful when it comes to the idea of jumping to close guard, jumping guard pulls, or flying guard, or flying submissions. I'll show again how to do this properly, and you can drill this with your partners. I don't want you to do this while you guys are doing open rolling in the academy or training with live in the academy, because the risk of injury is too high. If you guys are interested in how to do this, Nancy can stand nice and tall for me. I step up to the ankle line, outside ankle line, leg goes up, and then when I go, I throw my hips up and I try to land my hips onto his stomach. My hips onto his stomach. I don't want to be too low where I hang and hit his knees. So we come up, I jump nice and high, and I wrap my legs around his hips. Come up nice and high. And Ant has to catch me. So that's how you safely jump close guard. Again, be very careful to do that. We don't want to hurt each other's knees. Now, when I go to, or if Ant wants to jump guard on me, go ahead, Ant. Perfect. Now, in order to do that, Ant needs exposure of my hips. If I bring my head forward and my hips back, and I put my head and my hips almost at the same height, and don't do anything stupid or crazy, but if Ant were to go to try to jump close guard at this point, yeah, he can't really do it. He can't, if Ant were to take that same posture, head down at the same height of your hips, I don't even know how he would without, like, I'm gonna have to sit. You can't jump into guard from there. So you can stop this with just good, with not good, but with, I guess, poor posture. By keeping your head really low, you can stop the jumping guard pull. You can also use distance to negate it. In the sport of jiu-jitsu, he needs a grip on me to pull guard. At least some sort of grip. Even if I want to sit to guard, I need to be here. Now I can sit. If I never make a grip on Anthony, and I just sit, I'm going to be penalized, and I'm going to be forced to stand back up. Okay? So if we have an opponent who maybe we think we're better at takedowns than they are, and we want a shot at working our takedown, maybe we want to keep some distance from this guy so you can't make a grip. The very second your opponent makes a grip on you, they're permitted to sit to guard. They're absolutely allowed to do so. However, if we got distance, if we're playing here, and Ant starts to come, slowly, and I'm just keeping distance here, I'm not letting him get to me, and he tries to make a grip on me, and I don't let him make a grip, he can't sit to guard. So just by playing distance, I can stop his guard pull. Okay? So another thing is angle, right? If Ant wants to pull guard, he wants to keep me square in front of him. If his intention is to pull guard, and I see him coming forward trying to get grips, I can start to circle. It's very awkward. So if Ant were to pull guard on me as I circle, go ahead. Pull guard. Just sit, just like sit to guard. I can start to work to angles to make it very uncomfortable for him to work guard. So we always want to be working angles. We want to be working distance, and we want to be keeping our hips back so we can't just jump up into close guard. That's if we got somebody who we think is probably going to pull guard on us. We can stop the guard pull or mitigate the guard pull just with those small details. Now, let's get into the more exciting parts of this video. How do we actually counter somebody who pulls guard on us? So let's come into our most common grips. I got a power hand, he has a power hand. I have a control hand, he has a control hand. Now from right here, what most people do, sometimes people will come up with this foot, sometimes people will come up with this foot. It really doesn't matter. People will do both. And you're gonna need to know how to handle both. What's gonna happen is people are gonna get grips, they're gonna put a foot in the hip, and then they're gonna sit down and pull. And then this is how they pull you into guard. And now if they have you in guard, they can start to make butterfly hooks, they can start to pull you up overhead, lifting, and start to sweep. So, Ant's going to do that now. We take our grips. Ant's going to put a foot in the hip, make a tension, and sit. Okay? So, when Ant's here, he goes to put a foot in the hip. Good. He's going to start with this foot. That's good for me to know. Go back down. This arm is the one that I'm going to be grabbing his legs with. My control arm. Why? If I go to try to intercept his leg with this hand, Ant has a cuff grip on me. I can't freely do whatever I want with this hand. He has a control hand on me here. But on this side, Ant is committed to the lapel. I can do whatever I please with this arm, and there's not much he can do to stop it. So when I'm gripped up here, if I think this guy's going to pull guard, it's my left hand that's going to be grabbing and posting on his knee. And we're always going to be posting on the same side knee. Okay, regardless if he pulls with this leg or if he pulls with this leg. We'll talk about that more in a bit. But whichever side he has the power hand on, whichever side he's not controlling my sleeve on, I post on the knee on that side. Now let's look at a situation where Ant is going to pull with his left leg. Right there, he goes to pull me into guard. Perfect. So what I want to do is I want to hand post on the knee, and I want to get outside his knees. My hand is going to post on the knee. I'm free to do so because he doesn't have this cuff. And then I go to the side and I hit a Toriano. So I'm here, I see Ant go to put a foot in him, I post on the knee. And now as Ant sits, I'm going to step to the outside. And I come right in for a Toriano pass, settling down my knee into the pocket of the hip. So again, we're here. I see Ant put a foot in the hip. My left hand is going to be here on the knee, ready. And as he goes to pull, I sidestep. And I send his knee by. And then I settle my right knee into the pocket of the hip. Let's do one from this angle. He goes to pull. I sidestep, pushing his knee out of the way, and I come with the knee to the hip. Let's do one more slow here. Real slow here. So here, foot to the hip, my hand goes to the knee. As he sits, I sidestep, and then my right leg comes following my left, and I push the knee out of the way. And then my right knee comes here, right to the pocket of the hip. Now when Ant tries to bring his right knee back in between me and him, my right knee shuts it out. I keep my left knee tight to my right knee. When Ant tries to bring in his knee shield, I close that space off. If Ant starts to bring his knee underneath my armpit, I need to recognize that and re-pummel my elbow inside. He goes to do that again. Look at I close my elbow. He goes to exploit that space. I close my elbow. Go again. Here. And I keep that knee out. So that is passing off the pull. When my opponent pulls with this leg, and this leg stays back. I post, and I go around that leg because I have a lot of distance between myself and this leg. It's very easy for me to go around and use that distance. One last time, Ant. Excellent. Next, let's look at a situation where Ant pulls with this leg. So now he puts that foot in my hip. I try to post in Toriano here. Go ahead. Sit. I get caught in the leg. And I don't get my Toriano pass. In fact, I get stuck in his guard. He kind of wins the pull on that. He can do a lot of things to me. I get wrapped up. So what am I going to do? When he puts that foot on my hip, I don't sidestep in Toriano. I backstep. So now when Ant goes to pull guard, I backstep into a split squat. And now from here, I'm ready to start taking the knee shield out of the way. So I take my right knee to the pocket of his left hip, get that knee out of the way, and now I'm into my cross knee pass, my knee cut. I get inside the elbow, and I finish. So when I'm here, and Ant puts the foot in the hip, I post on the knee, and then when he goes to sit, I'm just going to drop to my left knee. Okay? I take a back step, so he loses connection with the hip. I drop, and I connect my right knee and my right elbow together. So when he tries to bring his left foot back in, I keep the left leg out, and now I just need to deal with this leg. Maybe I step over, and now I'm into my guard pass. One more time, he's going to go to put the foot in my hip, he's going to go to sit. I drop step, back step with my left leg, and I connect my right knee and my right elbow together. When Ant goes to bring that left leg back in, I use my right knee, my right elbow, and my right shoulder and ribs, the whole right side of my body, to keep that knee out. Ant tries to fight that knee back in, I keep it out. Now my right knee goes to the pocket of the hip, right here. He's going to try to elbow escape, so I take the elbow out of the way, and I pass the guard. So again, if he pulls with his left leg, he pulls. I post on the knee in Toriano. If he pulls with his right leg, I post on the knee and I knee drop into this position here where I have my knee and my elbow connected. Then I jump over the leg and I come up into a split squat position, one of our favorite passing positions. And then from here, now we pass the guard. Ah, yes. Winning and dominating the guard pull. So passing off the pull is dominating the pull. All right, he pulled guard, I passed it. He didn't even have a guard to begin with. I passed it right away, I dominated it. There are ways to win the guard pull. Do you remember that when Ant pulls guard, he wants two things? Pull guard, Ant. He wants, go ahead, me between his two knees. Good, let go. He wants me between his two knees. And he wants me on this side of his belt, of his hips. I want the exact opposite. I want to be on the outside of the two knees, and I want to be in front of the belt. If I can do both of those things, I'm in great shape. If I can do even just one of those things, I'm in pretty good shape. I'm still half between the knees, half out between the knees, but my right knee here is in front of his belt, in front of his hips. So now, even though he pulled guard and he's playing guard, I'll tell you, Ant doesn't feel great about his guard right now. Ant feels like he's about to get his guard passed, or he's got to do some serious guard retention. So one thing I can do, if you don't pass off the pull, just try to make sure your knee ends up in front of the belt. Okay? So I'm in here, Ant's going to go to pull in whatever way he wants, right? And I end up here, with my knee in front of the belt. So now, even though Ant pulled guard, he kind of got what he wanted. This is not what he wanted, though. He wanted a situation where he could attack me, where he could start putting up triangles and arm bars and all those stuff of things. But when he pulls and I come in with my right knee, same side as the power hand, I put that knee in front of the hip line. Now when Ant goes for his triangles, he goes for his arm bars, goes for his sweeps. It's really, really difficult. So my goal is to end up at least partially outside of his knees and north or past the hip line. So even if I can't dominate the guard, or even if I can't dominate the pull and pass immediately off the pull, I can at least win the guard pull by getting beyond the belt, or getting outside the legs. So I'm here, Ant goes for the guard pull. I come here with my right knee. Now sometimes you'll have people who come in with like sliding guard pulls. We talk about distance, right? They can't get a grip. So you'll have people come in and they get a grip and they try to pull themselves underneath like so. When we have somebody doing a sliding guard pull like that, we want to get up over their hips and we want to land with our knee north of the hip line. So when we're playing distance, Ant tries to come in with that quick grip and pull. I jump over the leg, you might have to jump over, and I land with my knee north of the belt. Back up. A little slower this time, Ant, like slow motion. He comes in for that slide. I post, I'm going to get caught up in the legs. Right? I'm going to get caught up in the legs. So I'm posting on the leg, and I jump over it. As I jump over, I'm also jumping over with my right leg, clearing the legs. And I land with my knee north of the belt line. So I kind of jump over his guard pull a little bit. That's okay. So we're here, he comes in for his sliding pull. We jump, we try to land with this knee over the belt. Don't be too crazy here, and let's not land with our knee in delicate areas. Right? Be very careful with your partners. So this time we'll do one more kind of a regular speed. We're playing distance, Ant's gonna come in for the pull. I intercept the pull and I win. And now I'm ready to pass the guard. So that's passing off the pull. We can also do submissions off the pull, okay? For example, I'm here, Ant goes to pull guard. Go ahead. I can come in with my right knee into the pocket of the hip. Let's do that. Let's do that pull. That's poor on my part. I'm here, Ant goes to pull, I post, and I bring my knee through. Now one option we have here is to pluck this leg up putting my knee right here against the pocket of the hip, and we can start to attack ankle locks. From here, I want to reach back with my left elbow. So my forearm, let's rotate, goes behind the ankle knuckle here. If I'm in front of the ankle knuckle, it's hard to get a break. So I slide back and get a grip in my lapel, and I slide back so the ankle knuckle is exposed here. Okay? Now from here, I can start to put my knees down on the floor, posturing up, and we get an ankle lock there. Conversely, I could bring my left heel to my left knee, or to my right knee, and I could fall into more of a traditional ashigarami scenario. Now from here, we want to put extra power on the finish. I want to use both my legs to finish. So I like to take my foot out and step both my feet into the hips. And now I can push off both hips to get the finish. I make sure I'm far enough down the lever so you can see the ankle, or the knuckle of the outside ankle here. I'm going to pull my left elbow into my back and start to put some pressure on. And now I'm going to drive off the hips, starting to hip into the foot and ankle for our submission. So my goal when I break the ankle here is not just to go just straight, but I'm also flexing it to the inside. We're putting stress on the ligament that attaches the foot here to the front of the shin. So we stretch and we apply inward pressure on the toes. We're getting this inward fold to put pressure on the tendon right here. So that's submitting off the pull with an ankle lock. Once again, we're locked up. Hand comes in for the guard pull. Go ahead. I drop, connecting my knee and my elbow together, just like we looked at. I take this leg up. I start to wrap the leg. I can put my knee down for base if I want. Now from here, I start to grab my lapel, so I anchor my hand in place, and I slide down to the end of the lever, making sure the ankle knuckle's exposed. Now from here, if I want, I can finish from here. Put knees down. I can post on the knee. Mikey Musumeci does this a lot. He'll grab the gi pants even, and he'll push to get extra leverage to finish there. Otherwise, we can connect our heel to our knee, fall into our ashigarami, making sure we're down at the end of the lever, making sure my left elbow pulls in behind me. Remember, when I pull my left elbow in behind me, that's what flexes his toes inward. Here, that's what gets the ankle and the feet going, kind of forcing them to the inside. Now I put my feet into the hips, and we have our finish. If for whatever reason you don't want to go for the ankle lock, maybe you just want to get top position, or maybe you're trying the ankle lock and it's not working. Even with the Mikey Musumeci trick, I'm grabbing the gi pants, I'm trying to push in the knee, I'm trying to create more distance, and it's just not working. I can hip heist, and now an ankle's to hip heist with me and get up with me. The ankle lock grip will stop me from doing so. And I can always get back up and accept his guard pull. And now I'm ready to start working my guard passes. So we can submit off the pull, a supine pull where he pulls onto his back with an ankle lock. There's also seated guard pulls. You'll have people who come in, they just grab you, and then they literally just sit to their butt. Excellent. We can submit off seated guard pulls, and we can pass off seated guard pulls. Let's look at passing off seated guard pulls, then we'll look at submitting off seated guard pulls. I'm here, and goes into a seated guard pull. I can do a cross step. All right, so hand goes to pull. Go ahead. Seated. I post on the knee. Actually, since you're seated, I need to be here. I post on the knee. My right leg comes up, and I step right into the cross step. Right here. Now my left leg comes around, and I land in the knee mount. This one's really easy. Simplistic, I should say. You got to get good with guiding your foot to the right position. You got to get good at threading your foot through. But once you're good at that, this is a very quick pass. I'm here, ankles that sit to guard. and I'm over and through. We can also Toriano pass off the seated pole. Ankles to sit. I can post my hand on the floor and just work my way around. The nice thing about a seated guard pull, guys, very slowly start to pull. Stop. Both of his feet are committed to the floor. So if I recognize that, in one fluid motion, if I can plant my hand and jump to the other side, go ahead and pull in, I can be around his feet. He's not going to catch me with his legs. His legs are committed to the floor. So if I can time that well, I can Toriano pass to either side. I'm here, he goes to do a seated pull. I plant my hand on the floor and I jump around. I go back to the original side. I'm here, he goes to do a seated pull. I plant and I jump. Another option we have is a long step pass. I'm here. As ankles to seated pull, I can physically grab the pant cuff. I back step with my left leg. I open my right elbow, so I land on my elbow, putting my head down to the shoulder. And I land in a long step pass. Now from here, he's going to try to keep his left knee tight to his chest. My left hand goes from the far leg to the near leg. I stretch his leg out my way, and my knee covers the pocket of the hip. Now when Ant tries to recover, I block the pocket of the other hip, and now we're ready to take our side control. So going into a long step pass this time, change the angle. Ankles to sit. I grab, I take my back step, flaring my elbow open, and getting good head position. And I land right here. Ant's knee comes to the chest. I can either go here and stretch his leg out, or I can pummel my hand into the pocket of the hip. They're both great options. So one more time, kind of a regular speed. We're here, ankles to sit. And we're past. So we can pass a seated guard pull with a Toriano, with a cross step, with a long step. Now we're going to look at submitting off of a seated guard pull. Let's first look at submitting off of the lower body with a back step knee bone. Ant goes to pull, seated guard. From here I step to the inside with one leg. My other leg is going to back step, and I'm going to put my knee underneath of his knees here, and I'm going to sit hip to hip. Now from here, I can gather his two legs sitting into a cross ashigarami like so. From cross ashigarami, we have great heel hook opportunities, which we've seen in the past. We're going to learn those again in the future. Or we can grab the secondary leg. And now from the secondary leg, this gets to be a little confusing, a little trickier, but I'm going to hook the leg here, and I'm going to try to pass my right knee through his legs. So my left foot is going to lift, drive, my right leg starts to elevate, and I push my knee through the legs. Now I'm here, I can sit the hip in on a knee bar. If Ant figure fours his legs to defend the knee bar, defend this one. Yeah. If he figure fours the legs to defend the knee bar, I can start to go after a toe hold. And now my elbow is going to go out to the heel. I'm going to pull out with the elbow for a rotation. Now what's Ant's defense to the toe hold? It's going to be to kick my hands off of his feet. He goes to kick, I recapture the legs, I go back to a knee bar. So we have him in a big dilemma between a knee bar on the primary leg and a toe hold on the secondary leg. If he leaves the knee bar for me, I break the knee. If he figure fours to defend, if he kicks my arms off the knee bar, he figure fours, I can capture and I can toe hold the secondary leg. If he uses his primary foot to kick my hands off, I'm back to the knee bar. if he spins inside my knee bar, so I can't get a knee bar anymore. Now we come through and we start going back into our heel hooks. Alright, so we do this with a step to the inside position, and then a back step. So ankles once again, going to pull a seated guard position. I step to the inside, I back step and go hip to hip. And I capture both legs. Now from here I have many choices. I can work right from this position, working for inside heel hooks. Or maybe, let's see, trapping, I could pass this leg to the other side of my body. And now there's an isolated leg over here for me to come back, hook, and break the leg. Otherwise, if I'd rather go on and attack knee bars, drive and elevate, and as I elevate, I punch my right knee through the legs. And now I have my choice. I can go after knee bars here. If he kicks off and defends, I can go after toe holds on this one. He kicks off and defends the toe hold, I go back to the knee bar. So we can backstep into cross ashigarami and into knee bars against a seated guard hold. Another option we can do is we can actually go a flying triangle, but I don't really fly with my triangles. I'm not that athletic, I'm not that brazen, I'm not that brave. So it's kind of a stepping triangle. We step over the guard right to a triangle. I'll show you how we can do this. We lock up in our grips, and Ansis to seated guard. Now in Ansis to seated guard here, he has an extended arm because he had my lapel. This arm is extended up. What I can do is I can step to the outside knee line. Now my right leg comes up, and I throw my right leg right on the shoulder as I sit through. And now I'm on top of triangles and arm bars. So I'm here, and sits to a seated guard position. I have control of the elbow. When Ant goes to pull his elbow back to his ribs, it's not easy because I'm physically pulling it up. I'm not letting his elbow go down. I step to the outside, and then I throw my leg up and over the shoulder, just like so. And I come down landing to my knee. And I land in a mounted triangle position. Now from here, if I want to finish the mounted triangle, I put all my weight on my knee so I can take my feet up. And now I can lock a figure four and settle back down. Squeeze and finish. If you can't finish the